Hello, Whiplash Group members and some of our other tribe members. We're grateful to have you with us today. And I've got a special guest, Garrett Gunderson. I love hearing the way he thinks about money and wealth and health and the 5 pillars of true wealth. And he's just such a great thought leader for our generation. So I wanted to have him help us personally with some of the things that we need to work on in chiropractic, medical, and legal, especially in the personal injury world with chiropractors and attorneys and PTs and MDs all working together. So Garrett, thanks for being with us today. I really appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
Yeah, I know you're really big on we are our number one best investment. And I just want the audience to understand what that means to you. To me, it means like investing and having a coach. You know, Michael Jordan was the best player of all times, but he always had a coach through his whole career to help him see his blind spots. What does that mean to you when you say we're our best investment?
Yeah, like I think of it in like four ways to really do it. One is have a mentor. Mentor gives you perspective, asks you questions you don't know how to ask yourself, maybe because you're too close to it. And then a coach. Coach just tells you exactly what to do. Like when I wanted to get really fit, I just hired a coach. He said, here's the food you eat, here's the workout you do. There was no big discussion. It was just the coaching, right? Where sometimes when I'm in like, I want to build a vision, I have a coach that helps me pull out that vision, or a mentor. That's the difference. The third is just systems and tools to reinforce that. So especially in today's world with AI and technology, like what kind of things can you have to reinforce on a daily, whether it's, listening to something, reading something, talking to someone, like just making sure that it's reinforced regularly. And then finally, accountability. Because yes, accountability is maybe we're paying someone else to help bring that accountability, but it helps us to get more out of ourselves because, it's just, there's a myriad of things we could all be doing. There's a lot of time that could be sucked away if we don't know what to focus on. And it's easy to get distracted and derailed with the many demands of life. So mentoring, coaching, systems and tools, and accountability. And when you think about investing in yourself, it's like, what are the skill sets that matter? Well, like everything from, being able to sell, like sales are amazing skills, or emotional IQ. That's actually something that can help you have a different level of consciousness and awareness. It could be obviously the tactics and things that you're actually doing within your profession, but it's also like financial intelligence, because there's a permanent penalty for not having financial intelligence. Every day that you don't have good financial knowledge, you might have money that's just slipping through the cracks, or you might be taking far too much risk, or you might not be creating enough cash flow, or you might not be operating in the right model. And so that's a lot of that's a long answer to investing in ourselves, but like to me, that's a lifelong pursuit.
Oh, for sure.
It's a lifelong pursuit.
Well, and I love how you have so many great books on these. And I'm always encouraging our followers, our tribe to, hey, look, make the time. Don't find the time. Make the time to invest in yourself. You're the sum of what you read, listen to, and watch. So be watching not junk YouTube videos, but watching Garrett on YouTube, listening to his audiobooks or your written books, and have an accountability group where you can share and have this brain trust where you keep working those things deep into your consciousness, where it just becomes habit forming to make better financial decisions and have better financial choice making and planning, like you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just we got to kind of cultivate our wealth that's within, and so a lot of the ways we do that is through gaining knowledge and then applying that knowledge. And sometimes that's through course corrections because we make mistakes along the way, and sometimes that's just by finding out like what our investor DNA is and really going all in there, or discovering our soul purpose, our values, our abilities and passions for its highest context of living, so that we don't just get burned out. I mean, there's a lot to it, like investing in ourselves is knowing how do we manage our energy? How do we improve our quality of life? How do we enjoy the process along the way? How do we heal from past issues that might be lingering for a lot of people because they made an investment mistake, or they didn't handle their money well, or whatever it might be. Like, I get it. Like, we all have all these experiences through our life, and sometimes people, they become victors because of it, and some become victims because of it. So it's kind of a choice in the moment. And I look at you. You've just been through a lot in your life, and you continue to go, how do I create more value? And you're always asking me that question, like, how can I create value for you? And I'd love to get you exposure. And you're always reading my stuff and texting me about it. So, like, we can't control all of our circumstances, but we can, like, what's our perspective in those circumstances, and what can we learn from those circumstances, and what can we do to rise above? I think if we have a vision bigger than any problem we have, we're going to see it through. If our problems start to look bigger than our vision because maybe our vision is limited based upon, I don't know if I have the time, or I don't know if I have the money, or what if I don't know how to do it? Those are things that can be solved over time through just the value creation model, because the money will follow the value creation. And when you build a team or an infrastructure, or you have unique insights, you start to have more sustainability. You start to have more cash that comes in. And so I think sometimes it just takes patience to build the foundational pieces, and to learn our way through the whole process. But and finance is one of those things that just a lot of people neglect because it can seem boring, it can seem intimidating, or whatever it might be. But hopefully, if it's with my books or a little interview like this, I just want to make it more accessible, more understandable, and get people more focused, because I think 80% of what we think we need to know about finance is actually just a distraction. Got to build your foundation. It's really important to save on tax. I mean, I think anyone that's a business owner, if you don't know how to save on tax, you're going to pay taxes that are tipping the government unnecessarily. I think it's important to learn how to structure your loans, and how to either renegotiate the interest rates to get a better deal, or restructure loans to get a better, cash flow, or just reallocate funds that are underperforming to pay off higher interest rate loans. And then, when it comes to investing, just how do you become a better investor? What kind of things are you willing to invest in? Get more focused and less diversified. Diversification is great for preservation when you've made it. It's kind of a terrible strategy on the way up. And I think, it's almost like the white flag syndrome of like, I don't know, I'll just throw it in a bunch of stuff. Hopefully some of it works. It hasn't really got people where they want to go. And then finally, just, transferring risk properly with insurance, so that you also know how to be efficient with insurance, so you're not overpaying for it, because a lot of people just have improper design and it's just inefficient. And so those kind of things are the basics that, if you know about finance, is going to help you out.
Yeah, those are great. That's some fantastic wisdom there. I hope people rewind and watch that a few times. I remember when I first met you and your team a long time ago, you helped me find some leaks in the boat and helped me realize that people that are the most successful in whatever field they're in, and I mention this quite often, that 80-20 Pareto's law or whatever, the ones that deep dive into what they really love, their sole purpose, rather than trying to be a jack of all trades. You guys helped me find some leaks in my boat and then learn to reinvest in myself. I remember you said something years ago, like, we should be making 20 or 30% a year growth if we're investing in ourselves and our own business, and it's focused. It's not like you're saying too diversified early on. I mean, it is good to have multiple sources of income later, but you've got to really deep dive it first. And that's where, in our group, of the Whiplash Group, we're picking a niche of how we're going to run our practice, and then focusing on those, strengthening that to then grow it and do that. And I love how you helped with that. So thank you for that advice years ago. Great stuff you're sharing with us today. I really appreciate that.
Got it.
So what are some tax strategies that you think you have for doctors and attorneys that will help us better protect what we've got, or be wiser in how we utilize what we have?
Let's look at the basic frame, and then I'll give the strategy inside the frame. The first is, you got to have a good team. So the members of your team should be at least someone that gets you timely data, whether that's there's even AI that could do that now, or a bookkeeper, or a controller, or a CFO, depending on the size of your company. Number two, you want to have a tax strategist, not a historian. A lot of times people go, oh, you had a good year, here's what you owe. You want to navigate and go, how do you proactively maximize your deductions? Then an attorney. If you're making less than $1 million in revenue, it's probably a corporate attorney would do. More than $1 million, it's probably more like a tax attorney. And so it's everything from how you classify your income, and there's so much strategy within the type of entity that you set up, how you pay yourself, and I'll give some of those ideas. And then if you own a building, you might want to look at an engineer that can do cost segregation, which allows you to accelerate your depreciation to get more tax write-off now versus later. So the team is the first bucket. The second is deductions. And if you're a business owner, you just go, hey, when you spend money, ask the question, could this relate to my business? And if you're not sure, meet with your tax team once a quarter. 20-minute call, 40-minute call, doesn't need to be long, and you just go, hey, bigger year this year than last year, or we're up or we're down, or so that they can start to help you plan before it's too late and when it's not so busy. So because between January and April it gets really busy, and when the business extensions and all that those come around, it's really busy. So there's a couple months a year where I guess they're not too busy, but it's usually the summer, and there's not a lot of people that are taking care of their taxes. So you just want to have a good team, and you want to meet with them on a quarterly basis. Now, let's look at the deductions, because there's a lot for doctors and maybe some attorneys there. Basically, we're with the new bill, we've got R&D back in a big way. So if you've been building out technology, an app, customized website, there's just a lot of credits there, and we've got a lot of doctors, a lot of credits over the years with R&D, and it kind of went away, or was a lot harder and was spread out. Now it's like coming back in the biggest way. So that would be one. Another is Section 199A, which says, this is tough for some doctors. They exclude you. It's so weird. I guess because you guys went and got an extra education, had to pay extra money, they're going to not let you take a qualified business deduction. But the qualified business deduction, that might mean that 20% of your business income would be tax deductible, simply because the basic philosophy here is you have employees and stuff like that. So the type of business does matter there, though. Easy stuff is like paying your kids. It's now like $14,000 a year you could pay your kids. My rule is just actually have them do the work that you're paying them for. Otherwise, it's tax fraud. You could do Augusta rule where you run out your home up to 14 days a year. That's tax deductible if it's to your business, and you don't have to claim that as personal income on when it comes to you individually. Even if you have a home office, you get to write off a percentage of the home and the utilities based upon that home office. There's little things like 132J says if you have like a pool or a gym or stuff and you make it available to your employees, which, by the way, I have a company that's just employs my family, so I make those things available to them, and now we get to write off all the maintenance for that. So that's another deduction that's out there. There's a ton, and if people just go to Instagram, Garrett B. Gunderson, B as in boy, Garrett B. Gunderson, and if you just put J, and they'll know it's coming here, from Jay, we'll give you the tax navigator for free. It's like a big checklist. And I'm still going to go to this third category because it's really the team, the deductions, and there's just so many boxes you could check and be like, oh, this applies to me. And now you kind of know which strategies to look at. And I'm going to tell you, 99% of the strategies on there are just right down the fairway, no big deal, no issue. There's a couple on there that I just want to be clear do create audit risk. One is an 831B, which is a captive insurance agency. Those are perfectly fine. It's just a lot of people abuse them. And, so it happens when they abuse them, maybe they don't have the right assets in there. It's like you saying, hey, I'm going to have my own insurance company for my business. And, you don't make claims. Well, if you don't make claims, you don't get a feasibility study, or you put it in places they tell you can't put it, like on, illiquid accounts, that could be a problem. And so that's why we've seen more audits on that kind of stuff. The other thing that I would just mention is there's things on there that, are perfectly fine to do, but then people do them wrong. So an example is a conservation easement. Okay. So in this third category, we're talking about how you classify your income. And one of the things is tax arbitrage. Tax arbitrage is I spend $1, I get more than $1 back. Most people are spending $1 to get 30 cents back, right? And so it doesn't make sense to buy a depreciating asset that way. You probably want to buy something appreciating or look at the economics first. Don't let the tax tail wag the dog. So conservation easement, I used to have these 2 5-acre plots of land in Weber Canyon here in Utah. And, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to build there because my wife thought the grade was too steep. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just do a conservation easement, which means I give up the development rights, and then it's just land. Well, because of where it was, the development rights weren't that great of a value. And after COVID, all of a sudden people want to buy that land. So I just sold it. But I could have done a conservation easement. Where people get into trouble with those is when you're forfeiting your development rights. If I go and go, hey, Jay, why don't we get it like 100 people and we all just buy this stuff over here and we're going to do a conservation easement on it, but we don't know each other. Well, that creates the syndication and that creates more risk, and there's more likely for that to get audited and for it to get defeated. Mm-hmm. But if it's actually your land, that's been a strategy that's been around for a long time where you're just forfeiting your development rights and therefore you're getting a tax deduction or a tax benefit for that. So let's talk about the classification of income. Number one is active to passive. So if you could take a reasonable salary, what you might pay another doctor and attorney, and then take the rest in distributions when you're operating as a business owner, those distributions avoid self-employment tax, which is 15.3%. And once that's even capped out, it's 3.2% permanently just because you took your income differently, right? So ordinary income to capital gains, I kind of mentioned the 831B. That's why a lot of people like it from a tax perspective. It's an insurance company that you get to own, but you get to pull the money out capital gains if you don't have any claim. So that's an example of going from ordinary income to capital gains. Tax-free, tax-free. There's charitable trust strategies, which are really great for those people that are really charitable in nature, that allow you to sell an asset like a stock or a piece of real estate or your business and not pay any tax on it. You can get a partial tax deduction. But when you die, the charity keeps whatever's left over, and the aim's around 10%. So charity 10% versus government 20% or more. That's a tax-free strategy. Or there's like Section 1202, which allows you to sell a business if it's a C corporation and been around for at least 5 years for up to $10 million tax-free per partner. So that's a really big one that people can do. Like I'm starting a company right now, and I'm like, we probably should make it a C corp. It's a type of company I could see selling. Most of the time when I start a company, I go, this is a company, can I be in love with it and work at it for 30, 40 years? I don't really buy to sell a company, because then I always feel like I'm building something that maybe I didn't want to build in the first place. But this other one is kind of a revolutionary way to help implement what would the Rockefellers do and that kind of stuff. So it might make sense. But we're discussing a C corporation because of Section 1202. So
Nice.
that's quite a few tax ideas. But the Tax Navigator, when people just DM me at Garrett B. Gunderson on Instagram, we'll hook you up with the Tax Navigator.
That's great. We'll make sure they get that Tax Navigator. And man, I just love the way your mind works on this stuff. And it's taken you years and decades to get to this point. It's so nice that you share it so kindly to help people move forward. Are there any things that people can do for you besides get your books? Are there any entry level programs you have besides what you shared? And do you have any upper level for those that maybe are already up there cooking and like, now where do I go from here to go next level?
So the highest level program that I have is people would start with me personally, and they come out to Utah. We go up to my cabin. We call it the Cash Cabin. If all they want is financial help, the cabin isn't what we normally would put someone in. I've been doing them a lot lately. So we did a lot of legacy work. I've been doing a lot of like building people's family constitution, which is a preamble to their trust. I've been helping them, come up with like a new business idea that they're working on, and all the pieces that are required for that to come to fruition, and how to make it profitable, or people that are, kind of stuck in their business and we're showing them how to leverage intellectual property. It's just like, I love to dive deep, and I only bring people into that if I know I can really give them a 10x return on their investment. I only do 2 of those a month. So the other thing is our main program is called Multiplier. And so Multiplier is we have people come in and we do a discovery session first to find out where they're at financially, what their financial confidence is, if they're overpaying tax, if they have assets that are exposed, or if they are having any missing pieces that could create problems. And we just do a deep dive, and then we do a report of findings, and it's comprehensive. So we show them exactly like, here's the range of savings you can get here. Here's the different options you have there. Here's what you could do to lower fee. So it's just a really nice comprehensive report that comes with the one-on-one session. Now, 77% of the people that do that join the Multiplier community, and it's what I want to do is build a community where I can help people on the way up. There's a lot of, when people are new money, they've never, they didn't inherit it. They don't have robust networks, and they're like just trying to navigate. They're usually building a lot in the business. And what's crazy is 96% of businesses don't crack $1 million of revenue. So I was like, no, financial people don't really want to help those people out. There's not a lot of assets to manage, but those are the people I want to help out. So Multiplier is about that. They get one-on-one coaching. We have a financial network of multiple accounting firms and law firms and investment advisors and insurance professionals. And so we match them up with these firms, and I don't own those firms. They're just people that we vetted to say, hey, whatever we're teaching, who can help someone implement it? And then, I teach every single week, either make more money, keep your money, grow your money, or grow yourself. So either the one-on-one with me or in that community, and then people that are really thriving and they've got, multiple 7 figures or 8-figure businesses. Then I have basically strategic relationships and partners that I refer them to, so they get more kind of done for you, one-on-one, more comprehensive. There's usually more complicated stuff when you're saving someone 7 figures of tax. There's a lot more moving pieces than someone that's just on their way up. So and then obviously we have digital courses, legacymethod.co. We have an amazing course on, how to implement the Rockefeller method. It's really like step by step what to do on video. It has AI tools to help people build out their family constitution and their family crest. So it's a really cool program. And then if people buy like any of my books, then we usually tell them about my Win Then Play course. It's like a 10 different sections, everything from finding out their money persona to where they could, where they could plug financial leaks, or, how they have the right ways to invest in themselves, legacy pieces. It's a really comprehensive course. It's me on audio, and it's like a 130-page workbook. So that's a really good for someone that has more kind of time than they have money, because it's only a couple $100. But for people that have more money than they have time, or they just want the help, multiplier is the game changer. I mean, we're having so much success with people inside of there, from saving tax to getting their. I look at it like, if they have a financial team already, it's multiplier, because it's going to multiply those results. We're not here to replace anyone. If they got a good person, awesome. But being in touch with someone weekly to stay the course, to grow where they're at, to keep multiplying the results, because ultimately we're giving them the tools and resources and information. It's kind of like, you don't just go to the gym once a year, but a lot of people just talk to their financial team once a year or twice a year. So we're here to fill in all those gaps and really help them accelerate their results with the program.
I love it. Goes right back to that accountability that we were talking about. That's so important. Having accountability with your financial team. What a novel idea. And I love this. And one of the people I want to interview down the road is a friend of yours, Tanner Adams. He's one of those people that you're talking about. That's one of those key players. He's the tax strategist.
He's my guy, and we brought him into the Multiplier Network recently, and letting people meet with him. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, I did so well the last couple of years with him on my taxes. He's just so good.
Yeah, he's awesome. And what's funny is my son works for him, and he's just like been digesting your books like crazy, just really getting into them. So I
awesome.
can't wait to meet you in person.